guten Morgen. Ich bin Vincent Van Gogh, die großen Niederlande. You don't speak Dutch? Okay, we'll do it in English, yes? My name is Vincent Van Gogh, the great Dutch artist, and I was born here in Zundert in Holland in 1853, a time which is very different from yours. Look at the way we dress. Look at these poor boys. They're 9 years old and they work down the mine. Look at the transport that we use. We have to use carts and carriages because there are no cars, there are no computers, no televisions, telephones. They don't exist. Look at those wonderful trains, they've just been invented. Wonderful. Would you like to meet my family? This is my father, Theo Van Gogh. He's a minister in the church. And this is my mother, Anna. This is my granddad, Vincent. He's a pastor in the church. And this is my uncle, Vincent. We call him Cent because we're not very imaginative with names in our family. He's an art dealer. And this is my brother, Theo. Have you got a brother? My brother's wonderful. He looks after me. I wouldn't exist without him. And this is me. Age 14 and 19, looking very smart, yes? Come on, I'll show you the rest of my life. When I was a child, we went to my father's church at Zundert every Sunday morning, and we would watch him preach from the pulpit here. We would have to listen very, very carefully. But there was something very strange about this church, because in the graveyard over here was a gravestone with my name on it. It said Vincent Van Gogh died 1852, but I thought, I'm Vincent Van Gogh. Why has that gravestone got my name on? It turns out that this is my dead brother who died exactly 1 year before I was born. I thought this was very, very strange. Some years later, I read a book by this man, Dr Gachet, who said that children brought up as replacements for a dead child often end up harming themselves and dying young. Remember that, because that's an important part of the story. When I was 16, I left school and I went to work for my uncle Cent at Goupil's in the Hague, the art dealers. And I really enjoyed it. I did really well. I was there for about 2 years, and then they promoted me and they sent me to London. What a weird place that is. It's full of English people who speak English. I speak Dutch. I learnt English. When I was in London, I stayed in a little house in Brixton, here. And in the house lived the lawyer family. And they had a daughter called Eugenie. She was 18 years old. I was 19 years old. She was very pretty. So one day I said to her, Eugenie, would you like to come out for a drink with me? And she said, no. I thought, I'll try again. So I bought some flowers. I went up to her, Eugenie, would you like to come out for a drink with me? And she said, no. I thought, I'll try one more time. But before I was about to ask her, her father stepped in and said, don't you ever ask my daughter out again. She does not want to go out with you. I felt very sad. The first girl I'd fallen in love with didn't want to know me. Still, I was doing very well at work. In fact, so well, they promoted me. Yes. They promoted me to the Paris office of Goupil's. Big problem, because in Paris they all speak French. I don't speak French. I learned how to speak French. I was doing very well at the Paris office. But one day a man came in and he said to me, young man, he said, the painting over here, he said, I'm interested in this painting. How much is it? I said, it's 100,000 francs. Ooh, he said. But I said, there's another painting over here by the same artist. It'll only cost 50,000 francs. Ooh, he said, I rather like that. I think I'll buy it. I wrapped it up for him. He signed the check, he gave me the money. He took the painting and he walked out of the gallery. I was so pleased. I sold the painting for 50,000 francs. My boss came up to me and said, you stupid boy. Why did you sell him for that painting for 50,000 francs? Did you not know that he's a millionaire? He could have bought any painting in the gallery. You sold him the cheapest one. I lost my job. He sacked me. When I got back to Holland, I had no idea what to do. My father suggested, why don't you become a preacher? I thought, oh, yes. I bought a Bible. And I used to read the Bible every day. Yes, because I thought if I'm going to be a preacher, I need to know the Bible. I'd walk down the street with a Bible in my hand, and sometimes I would shout at people, have you sinned today? Because if you have, you need to repent before God. People thought I was a bit weird. I don't know why. People would walk the other side of the street when they saw me coming. I thought it was a bit strange. But then my father suggested that maybe I should go to the seminary and learn how to become a preacher properly. So I started the seminary. But you had to do lots of tests. You had to do lots of writing. I failed the test. I was there for 3 months. I failed the test. They said, you have to take the test again. I said, I don't want to take the test again. I just want to be a preacher. I left. But eventually, the evangelists sacked me because I was too zealous. My family thinks I'm a failure. I've lost my job as an art dealer. I've lost my job as a preacher. I'm 27 years old, and I get sent home to live with my parents. My father has a new job in Eton as a preacher at the church there. While I was there, I met my father's friend, Reverend Peterson, who's a part-time painter. He suggested to me, he said, Vincent, when you were a boy, you were good at drawing and painting. What do you think about becoming an artist? A few days later, I wrote to my brother, Theo. Dear Theo, I'm going to become an artist. But I need some materials. I need an easel. I need paints. I need canvases. Do you think you could send me some money? He said, yes. Isn't he a good brother? I draw and paint every day because I'm going to become an artist. Yes. This looks a good spot. I could set up my easel in the middle of the road and do some drawing. What, do you think it's dangerous? Why? Cars? But there are no cars. They've not been invented yet. Oh, you think a horse and carriage. A horse might come over and walk all over me. No, it won't. It's an intelligent animal. It'll walk around me. I'm perfectly safe. You wouldn't be, because you live in a mad world full of cars. I spent the whole day drawing, but I kept thinking about Key. Key's my cousin, and her husband has died recently. I've fallen in love with her. I asked her to marry me. She said no. She rejected me. She's disappeared. I feel sad, really sad. My father said, why don't you come back to the church? Embrace the church. Come back again. I said, no, I don't want to do that. The church rejected me. I don't want to be involved in the church again. We had a big argument. He threw me out of the house. I've now got nowhere to live. I wrote a letter to Theo. Dear Theo, do you think you could send me some money? Because I want to go to the Hague. Dad's thrown me out of the house. I need somewhere to live. He said yes. Isn't he a good brother? The Hague is a big place. I need to find somewhere to live. This looks good. I could work here. I'd walk around the streets, drawing. Whenever somebody was working, I would stand there and draw them. Pulling a cart, I would draw them. Yes. Sometimes I'd spend 12 hours outside drawing, just drawing. I won't stop to eat because I I haven't got any money for food. But I decided I needed some lessons. I got some lessons with a man called Anton Mauve. He's a friend of my father's. But it costs money, and I don't have any money. Dear Theo, could you send me some money? I need some lessons. I'm going to take some art lessons. He said, yes. Isn't he a great brother? So I had art lessons with Anton Mauve. He taught me how to draw and paint. But the trouble is, he kept going over the same things over and over again. He used to drag me up the wall. Eventually I said, no, I can't cope with this anymore. And I left. I decided if I'm going to become an artist, I'm just going to become an artist. I was walking home one evening after a day's painting when I saw a girl standing under a lamppost holding a baby. She smiled at me. I smiled back. I thought, she looks nice. So I went up to her and I said, would you like to come out for a drink with me? Then she said, yes. I thought, wow, this is wonderful. So we went for a drink. It turns out that she's got no job and she just hangs around on the lamppost for some reason. And she's got nowhere to live. So I suggested, why don't you come and live with me? I've got a couple of little rooms. You could come and stay with me. Apparently her name's Sienne. She moved into my rooms. It was wonderful. Although I didn't like the baby screaming. Theo sent some more money, so we had plenty of money for food. I would draw Sienne all the time. Sometimes she'd be just sitting by the fire contemplating. Other times she'd be peeling potatoes. Occasionally she'd be sewing. But then one evening, I came home. It was about a year later. I walked in the door and I said, Sienne, I'm home. There was no answer. Sienne! I went upstairs. She'd gone. The baby had gone. All her clothes had gone. All my clothes had gone. Dear Theo, Sienne's left me. She's taken everything. Could you send me some money, please? He said yes. There was nothing left for me in The Hague, so I decided to go to my parents' new house in Neuenen. It took me 5 days to get there. I hope I'll be welcomed. I threw myself into my work, painting and drawing every day. I painted the house, the church where my father preaches, and the cottages that the poor live in. They work so hard in the fields and have no one to look after them. I've got Theo. He's a good man. My father died in 1885. We didn't get on. But I'm going to be an artist. I've been drawing and painting now for 5 years. I've sold nothing so far, but I'm hopeful. I know I haven't got there yet, but I'm hunting for it. I'm fighting for it. I want to paint something fresh, something new, something with soul in it. Onwards, upwards. That's where I'm going. My parents can't understand why I want to paint the poor, the workers, the real people. They think I should be painting nice pretty pictures of nice people in nice houses because they'll sell. They just don't understand. I want to paint the real world. I want to paint real people. Look at them. Do they think they look happy? Of course they don't. Because they're so poor. Look at what they're eating. They're eating potatoes. Imagine eating potatoes for breakfast, for lunch, for the evening meal, every day. There's no meat, there's no vegetables, they can't afford them, they're so poor. Look at their fingers, look at their hands, look how twisted they are. They're all gnarled because they work hard in the field every day. I showed my picture to Theo and some of his art friends. They said it looked dull, dismal, dreary. They just don't get it, they just don't understand. I want to paint real life, I want to paint something with soul in it. I'm beginning to feel like a stranger in my own country, in my own family. Maybe it's time I left. Yes, maybe it's time I went back to Paris. There's lots of great artists, they'll understand. But to get back to Paris, I need to get on the train. To get on the train, I need a ticket. And to get a ticket, I need money. Dear Theo, I took the train to Paris in March 1886. I lived in a lot of tiny rooms in boarding houses until Theo gave me a room in his house. I had few friends in Paris. I was lonely. I spent a lot of time painting myself, looking in the mirror. This is the first self-portrait I did in Paris. Have you noticed how dark the colours are? How smooth my brushstrokes are? This is how I thought you should paint. But then I saw Monet's paintings. And he paints in little dabs of colour, in bright, bright colours. It's wonderful. So I copied him. I wander the streets of Paris. I paint anything I can see. I've been up to Montmartre where Theo lives. I've been to Clichy. I go into the bars, I go outside the bars, I stop people in the street. I paint the railway stations, I paint the skies, I paint the landscape, I paint everything. Sometimes I paint for 12 hours non-stop. I get so tired, I just collapse with exhaustion. It's a choice. It's a choice between buying food and buying paint. But I'm an artist, so I buy the paint. Sometimes I'm starving. I'm going to be successful. Theo keeps displaying some of my paintings in his gallery, but they don't sell, no one wants to buy them. They don't like my paintings. I've been painting 7 years, I've not sold a painting. But one day I will. One day I'm going to be successful, I know. I've been in Paris now for 2 years. It's so busy here. I've been working so hard. I need some calm, I need some rest. I need some tranquility. I need to be alone. It's so very cold in Paris in the winter. Maybe it's time for a change. I could set up an art school. I could invite other artists to work with me. Perhaps somewhere in the sun, the south of France. That's a good idea. But to get to the south of France, I need to go on the train. To get on the train, I need money. Dear Theo. So this is Arles. It's very quiet. You haven't got lots of people rushing around like you have in Paris, making lots of noise. It's also warm. Do you know, I've struggled for 6 years to become an artist. Really tried hard. But I think here, I could recover my poise. And I can paint. But first, I need to find somewhere to live. I found this place to stay on the Rue Lamartine. I call it the Yellow House, because it's yellow. I love the colour, so I painted it. These are my lodgings. I rent 2 rooms with the 250 francs a month that Theo gives me. It's not much, and once I've paid the rent, there's not much left over for food and paint, but I survive. This is my room, and this room is spare at the moment. I'm hoping an artist will move in, and we can set up an artist colony and work together and produce lots of wonderful paintings. Would you like a tour of my room? This is my bedroom here, and this is my bathroom. It's tiny, isn't it? Imagine living here in this tiny room. And this is my lounge. It's a single chair. That's all I've got. Would you like to see the painting I did of my room? Just wait there and I'll show you. One night I went round the corner from the Yellow House to paint the cafe. It was quite light when I started, but it soon got dark and I couldn't see. It was really, really frustrating. I was getting really angry, I couldn't see. But then I had this brilliant idea. I've got a hat, and there's a candle shop, I believe, round the corner. I rushed to the shop, I bought the candles, and I bought some cord as well, and I tied the candles to my hat. I lit them all. I went back to my painting. Now I can see what I'm doing. Yes, this is great, I can see what I'm doing. I can finish my painting. But the kids kept shouting at me from across the street. Look, it's that mad Dutchman, look at him. He's mad, he's mad. I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I am not mad. For the next few months, I go out into the fields and paint every day. I start at sunrise and go back at sunset. It gets really, really hot. I get so hungry. Oh! Oh! I got a letter from Theo. I'll show you it. I'll show you it. Carry it with me. Look here. Look. I got a letter from Theo. He said, "Dear Vincent, Paul Gauguin's going to come down to stay with you. Gauguin, he's a great artist. He's going to stay with me. We can set up the artist colony. We can paint together. I can have my dream of creating this colony. It's going to be wonderful. I'm so looking forward to seeing him." I thought Gorgons Room looked very dull, so I decided to paint some pictures to brighten it up for his arrival. I got some sunflowers from the field and set them up to paint, but they kept dying. I only managed to produce 2 paintings, but I've hung them up on his wall. I'm looking forward to his company, to his friendship. I've been so lonely on my own. I just hope he likes my work. Gauguin's been staying with me now for 9 months. We don't get on well together. We keep arguing. He keeps telling me that my work is rubbish, that I should be painting things from imagination, that I should stop painting things that I see all the time. Use your imagination, he says. He keeps asking me, how many paintings have I sold? I haven't sold any paintings. I've been painting 8 years now and I've not sold any paintings. I get so angry with him. Last week I hit him. We had a big fight. And now he tells me he's going to leave. My idea of the artist colony is just falling apart. I'm going to be on my own again. I'm going to be so lonely. And I've received this letter from Theo. Theo tells me he's going to get married. That means the room in his house will no longer be free. I won't be able to visit him anymore. He doesn't want me. He's rejecting me again. Everybody's rejecting me. I'm going to be on my own. I'm so lonely. Oh! Ah! 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 That got off my ear. That was a silly thing to do, wasn't it? I wrapped my ear up in a piece of newspaper. I took it outside, went down the street and I gave it to a girl. She burst into tears, I don't know why. They found me the following day and took me to hospital. I was in hospital for 2 weeks. A week after I came out of hospital, I painted this picture here. The local people think I'm mad. They've got a petition up. They want me locked away in the asylum. Theo thinks I should go back to hospital too, but I don't want to go back to hospital. But he too wants to send me to the asylum. That's a hospital for people with problems with their minds. But I don't want to go. After a few months of abuse and harassment from the people of ours, pressure from Theo, and a few personal problems of my own, I've realised I do need some help. So I've decided to come here to the asylum at Saint Remy. I hope they can tell me what causes my attacks of madness. I think I've done well coming here. A change of surroundings will do me good. I do hope so. This is my room at the asylum. You'll notice there's bars on the windows here, and they lock the door at night so I can't escape. But they do let me paint when I'm not having an episode, and they'll let me paint. And I painted this picture here, a man called Trabuc. He's the orderly, he looks after me. Do you think he looks a kind man? Do you know what he does to me? If I'm having an episode and I'm shaking, they take all my clothes off. So I'm naked, and they put me into this bath here, look, and it's full of ice. And they put me in there until I calm down, until I stop shaking. But I can't stop shaking because I'm so cold. When I was feeling stable, they used to let me go out and paint. And sometimes they let me go and paint down here in the garden. Occasionally they let me paint out in the fields surrounding the asylum. But I had to be back before sunset. One evening I decided to paint the view out the window. But as I started painting, it got difficult because the stars, they just wouldn't stay still. The moon just kept moving over the sky all the time. It kept moving about. It wouldn't stay still. Stay still. I saw a church. I painted a church, and I painted a big tree, and I painted a village down here. Yes. By the end of the evening, I'd finished the painting. I finished the painting. The following morning, the doctor came into my room. He looked at my painting. He said, "Did you paint that picture last night?" I said, "Yes, it's a view out the window. Look." He looked at my picture, and then he looked out the window, and he said, "I can't see that cypress tree there. I can't see the church, and there's no village." I said, "They were there last night. I could see them. They were there last night." He said, "But what about the sky?" He said, "Look how all swirly." He said, "It doesn't look like that." I said, "It was there last night. I saw it all. It was all moving round. I saw it all last night." He put his arm around me. He said, "Calm down, calm down." And then he walked out of the room. For the next 11 months I stayed at the asylum. I had a few breakdowns and got very confused, but in between they let me paint here, outside in the fields. I painted lots of paintings here. It's good to experience the solitude, the birds, nature. I feel like a prisoner sometimes. I write a lot to Theo and he writes to me. The other day he wrote to me and he told me he had sold this painting, The Red Vineyard, for 400 francs. I've been painting 9 years. It's my first sale. Oh, I feel so much better now. I want to go back to Paris to see Theo. I'm cured. But to get to Paris, I need to go on the train. And to go on the train, I need a ticket. And to buy a ticket, I need money. Dear Theo, I arrived in Paris full of optimism. Even climbing the hill up to Montmartre where Theo lives did not dampen my spirits. Eventually, I found his house, number 54. I've been at Theo's house now for 2 days, but there seems to be an atmosphere. Theo does not look happy, and Johanna, Theo's wife, seems to spend most of her time either ignoring me or shouting at me.
Theo! He's not staying in this house. Either he goes or I go. It's your choice.
Theo came into the room with a big smile on his face. He said, "Vincent, I've had a really good idea. I think it'd be so much better if you went to stay with my friend Dr Gachet. He lives in Auvers, which is 30 miles from here. He's a doctor. He could look after you." Reluctantly, I agreed. I didn't want to go, but it's quite plain that Johanna does not want me here. I arrived in Auvers full of enthusiasm. It's such a beautiful place. I think the nature here will inspire me. There's lots to paint. I eventually found Dr Gachet's house. It was up a steep flight of steps. He welcomed me, but Dr Gachet looked tired and sicker than I am. He suggested that I should find lodgings elsewhere. I found a room in the house attached to the Revel Inn, a short distance from Dr Gachet's house. It cost me 3.5 francs a day and was up on the 2nd floor. It was here that I painted the owner's daughter, 13-year-old Adeline. Dr Gachet said I should establish a routine, so I've got one. I eat breakfast early, and around 9 o'clock I go out into Auvers to paint. Promptly around noon, I return back to the inn for lunch. Then I finish my painting in my room. I paint every day. So far I've painted 28 pictures in 26 days. Everything was going well until I decided to paint the church. It was a boiling hot day. The sun was blazing down. It was so hot. And the church, it just stood there, rejecting people just as it rejected me. The path just goes round the church. It goes nowhere. It just goes round and round the church. Oh, I'm going to paint the sky black. It's got to be black. It's got to be black. It's all closing in. It's all closing in. I write to Theo every day, but I try not to burden him with my troubles, although I do feel lonely and sad here. A bit of an outcast, but at least my work keeps me going. I'm explaining about the big fields around here. I'm going to go out and paint one next week. A few days later, I began painting in a field just north of Auvers. It was very hot. My head was swimming. There were lots of crows squawking, and suddenly I began to feel very strange, as though I was disappearing into the painting. I was getting lost in the vastness of the fields, the wheat, and all those crows. I could hardly breathe. My mouth dried up, and a thought just kept repeating itself inside my head, going round and round. I kept thinking, could I ever again feel happy, contented, and most of all, free of my loneliness? I tried not to be sad, as the sun was flooding everything with a light of pure gold. Sometime later, I managed to get to my feet. I staggered back to the inn. I dragged myself up the stairs to my room and got into bed. Dr Gachet could do nothing. The following day, Theo arrived. "What have you done, Vincent?" he cried. I tried to explain, but
Life was such a burden for Vincent. But now, as so often happens, everyone is full of praise for his talents. Vincent died on the 29th of July 1819, aged 37. His brother Theo, who provided Vincent with unfailing financial and emotional support, died 6 months later on the 25th of January 1891. He was just 33 years old. This has been a very sad story, but remember, Vincent Van Gogh had a dream of becoming a great artist and worked very hard throughout his lifetime to achieve it. Although his talents and achievements were not recognized while he was alive, he never gave up on his dream. Today, we celebrate him as one of the world's greatest artists. If you have a dream, don't let anyone tell you you cannot achieve it. If you work hard and never give up, you really can make your dreams come true.